Russia plans the biggest war in Europe since 1945. And another statement from Boris Johnson: we will make it impossible for Russia to raise money in London. Today I want to draw my attention and about this conflict, and I want to thank you first of all, Boris Johnson, for your support to Ukraine. My name is Rostislav Kalatsinsky. I'm a Ukrainian YouTuber, and I saw your strong speech at the Munich conference, and today I want to appeal and I want to draw your attention about this conflict that's happening and about the possible war. We have the war in Ukraine since 2014, and the situation has been pretty upsetting and devastating, I would say, because Russian troops killed many Ukrainians. We are innocent people. We want to live in peace. And now I want to appeal to different European leaders. For example, I really loved your speech, Boris Johnson, and thank you very much for this. I want to say that all European leaders, chancellor, presidents, and prime ministers, they need to pronounce very strong words against Russia, and they need to know what's going to happen next, that their economy will go down. Today I found a lot of information, but first of all I want to underline some of the statements from Boris Johnson. So, Ukraine conflict will make it impossible for Russia to raise money in London, warns Boris Johnson. If Russia launches an attack on Ukraine, the shock would be echo around the world. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has told world leaders at Munich Security Conference. So, very strong speech and several of statements I want to underline. If Ukraine is invaded and if Ukraine is overwhelmed, we will witness the destruction of a democratic state, a country that has been free for a generation with a proud history of elections. As I speak to you today, we do not fully know that Russian President Putin intends, but the omens are grim. And this is why we must stand strong together. Exactly, Boris Johnson, we must stay strong together. All the European leaders and other countries, they have to support Ukraine. And I ask you to do this at this moment. So Putin, Lukashenko, and other dictators should know what is going to happen next if they want to invade Ukraine. As I speak to you today, we don't fully know what Russian president intends, but I mentioned this. I believe that Russia would have absolutely nothing to gain from this catastrophic venture and everything to lose. And while there is time, I urge the Kremlin to de-escalate, to disengage its forces from the frontier and to renew our dialogue. These words are very, very important for Ukrainians. As the UK urges Moscow to engage with talks to prevent a conflict, Mr. Johnson described how the international shock of a Russian attack would echo around the world. He said, if Russia invades its neighbor, we will sanction Russia, individuals and companies of strategic importance to the Russian state, and we will make it impossible for them to raise finance on London capital market. And as you know, London capital market, one of the biggest markets in the world. Western nations have warned Russia could invade Ukraine immediately with around 150,000 of its troops near the border. US President Joe Biden said Washington has reason to believe Russian forces intend to attack Ukraine in the coming days, including targeting the capital Kyiv, a city with a population of almost 3 million people. I mentioned we don't want any war. We want to stay in peace. But if Russia attacks, we have to defend our territory, our security, and the security of all Europe. So I ask every president, every prime minister to react on this and mention strong economical sanction, and not only economical sanction that can stop Russian president. Mr. Johnson said he believed that there was still time for a diplomatic solution, but he fears ongoing violence involving Russia-backed separatists in the Donbas region could well be the prelude to bigger action. The total deployment of fewer than 5,000 troops posed on conceivable threat to Russia, and if it's only in the last few weeks in response to the current crisis that we have dispatched reinforcement, although still in numbers that constitute a possible threat. Until 2014, European allies were cutting their defense budgets and shrinking their armed forces perhaps faster than was safe or wise. So we saw your speech, Boris Johnson. Thank you so much for this, and I hope to other presidents and prime ministers are going to react. Also, Boris Johnson today gave the interview to BBC. Evidence suggests Russia is planning the biggest war in Europe since 1945. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said. He told the BBC in an interview, all the signs are that the plan has already in some senses begun. Intelligence suggests Russia intends to launch an invasion that will encircle Ukrainian capital Kyiv. People need to understand the sheer cost in human life that could entail. The latest estimates by the US government suggest that between 169,000 and 190,000 Russian troops are stationed along Ukraine's border, both in Russia and neighboring Belarus. But this figure also includes rebels in eastern Ukraine. Mr. Johnson warned that any conflict could be bloody and protracted, saying Russian President Vladimir Putin was possibly thinking illogically about this. I think it's vital for us, all of us, now to get over what a catastrophe it would be for Russia. Exactly. So I ask for everybody in power and also for all Europeans to react, to write at least several posts that we want to live in peace. We are humans, and these people, Putin and Lukashenko, they are inhumans, because we can see from their actions what's happening, what they are doing. They are having their conference, also what's happening in Russia. Unfortunately, it's propaganda, yes, and what everything we can see on TV or on the radio, on newspaper, they are totally controlled. People are brainwashed. So I ask you, if you have Russian friends, send some links so they can read the real information, because now I found some information that in Russia says that Ukraine wants to attack, but it's untrue. It's fake information. We want to live in peace, and we don't invade their territory. They want to invade our territory, and we will defend our borders. Thank you for this live broadcast. My name is Rostislav Kalatsinsky. I'm a Ukrainian YouTuber, and several words I would like to also mention in Ukrainian. Усім привіт, друзі! Я записав це відео, аби подякувати Борису Джонсону за відверту підтримку України, адже він уже декілька зробив заяв. Перша заява, він сказав, що Росія планує одну з найбільшу війну з 1945 року, з Другої світової війни, яку хоче розгорнути у Європі, а це неприпустимо. І також він сказав, що ми зупинимо Путіна. Він заявляє, що будуть економічні санкції і що він просто змете Росію з лондонського маркет, так, з лондонського ринку, а це, як ми знаємо, один з найбільших ринків, і не буде співпрацювати ні за якими економічними чинниками з Росією. Це дуже сильна заява, і дякую за підтримку. Зараз усі намагаються вирішити цей конфлікт. Макрон розмовляв з Путіним, розмовляв з Зеленським, передавав цю інформацію Байдену, І це все, що відбувається. Але сьогоднішнє відео я записав для того, аби нас почули також прем'єр-міністри інших країн, політики, люди, які мають вплив, а також прості європейці. Я пояснив, що ми не хочемо жити у війні, що ми мирні люди, ми ні на кого не нападаємо. Все, що робить Росія, це провокація. І також те, що у них зараз газети, телебачення, усі ЗМІ кричать, що Україна робить якась атака, ніби щоб виправдати себе, це все фейк. Тому я також закликав європейців, аби вони підтримали, не знаю, можливо, вони мають знайомих, родичів з цих країн, Росія, Білорусь, аби люди були проінформовані. Якщо можуть написати допис у підтримку Україні, то було б це теж дуже правильно. Дякую, друзі, що дивилися. Ставте ваші вподобайки, підписуйтесь на канал. Мене звуть Ростислав Калацинський.